them, you know, try different bikes, the adjustment on the seat, you know, things like that to make sure that a bike gets fitted properly. Just kind of a mentoring program, I would say, would be a good thing to grow the sport among women. And number 3, we'll have to think about that.
That's assuming that women don't have their fair share now. In our tours, for example, 51% of our participants are women. So we are seeing a lot more women take part in our events than we are men. I'm sure that there, you know, I don't know the exact statistics, excuse me, late at night, but Jim probably does the percentage of women and men bicycling in this country. A lot probably has to do with the perceived safety issue, which is not so much perceived but real. I think it's just like anybody getting into it. If the facilities are there, you know, that they feel safe on, they will use those facilities. And again, you know, we see a lot of women riding with their children. We do not count those as being there. Are we talking about hardcore riders? I don't know what the numbers are. I think it's got to be fun, and it can't be, you know, it's a little bit different, or it used to be different, but I think today the gap is growing closer. I don't know. I think that providing the opportunity and providing a fun thing gets them out.
My 3 would be having safe, well-marked facilities. And I'll repeat that 2 other times. Because and that's for whether for encouraging women, kids, anybody, you've got to have appropriate facilities where people feel safe to ride. So I think that's the key.
And it is, that's a great accomplishment that you have a 50-50 split on your events, because it is about 2 to 1 men to women is the figure that's usually cited. Okay, my 3 would be to be different, but that would be a 1. Would be you can force them, because that's what I did with my girls. I just forced them to ride to school. And then we also, as you'll see tomorrow, they just did a 1,900 mile bike ride down the Pacific Coast. And,
awesome.
So I got them at an early age, and they ended up really enjoying it. So sometimes you just have to say, you're going to do this, and then they'll try it, and hopefully like it. Second, show them they don't have to wear Lycra, because, you know, it's a big deal. And bikes, too, are a big deal, because, you know, whether it's properly fitted, but there's so many great bikes out now for women. That weren't there before, from the seats to the frames to the geometries, because, you know, women are built differently than men. Who would have thought, you know? So there's a lot more of that, and that you don't have to wear Lycra. Because really, I was saying last night at this session, I can give this part away, that Shimano did a survey of people who don't ride, and they said, well, what are the reasons? And the 2 big reasons were safety and fear of Lycra. Do I have to dress in that to ride a bike? And of course not, you know, so it's really cool to see all this clothing that's out there, or you can just wear regular clothes and ride a bike. And the third is definitely groupings that are non-traditional. Instead of a cycling club, which do tend to be male-dominated, like one group we have in Missoula is Dirt Girls, and they don't always ride a bike. I'd say about 60% of the time they do, but they also do hikes. They just do all sorts of things, but their reason for coming together was biking. And it's only women, and it's all ages, and it's just the comfort zone. So, yeah, it works.
Yeah. I got my 3rd. I would say having more facilities for showering and being able to put yourself back together. As far as commuting to work, I think that's a big one, is people with their hair, and, you know, that's a big deal, the beauty thing, you know. So I think having facilities that work would really help.
Yeah, it was really a big deal for me. Great, those are great answers. What impediments exist that prevent bicycling from being considered a legitimate form of transportation? Impediments.
I think a big one is when people don't obey the rules of the road, and they ride like kids. They don't treat their bikes as a vehicle, and they're rude to motorists. They do things that are not good etiquette for bicyclists to do, and it only just kind of reinforces motorists' attitudes about cyclists. So I think we have to go a long way towards education and just a realization about safety practices for riding.
I want to respond to Nancy's comment, and I'm not supposed to do this, but every time I've ever went to a hearing and testified, I've been asked that same question. All you bicyclists run these stoplights, run these stop signs, you're idiots and this and that. And of course, they never talk about the people going 90 miles an hour down I-96 all the time. I mean, that's okay. But so, about 2 years ago, I decided I'm going to study this. So I've been doing about a 1.5 year long observational study when I ride my bike. And I watch other bicyclists and what they do. And it's only when I ride my bike. And I have a couple categories. I have one, are they responsible? They stop at the stop sign, they ride where they're supposed to, they're not talking on the phone, all those types of things. I have another one they call sidewalk riders. Even though we frown on sidewalk riding, it still is legal and allowed, and they're not breaking the law. They ride the sidewalk, stop at the stop signs, and all those types of things. Then I have those that blow stop signs or stoplights. That's a category. I have those that ride the wrong way. I have another category that maybe they have headphones on, they're talking on the cell phone, have no lights at night, things of that nature. I've got roughly 1,200 observations at this point. I understand for a survey to be statistically accurate, you need 1,100, so I think I'm in the ballpark. 85% of the people riding ride responsibly either on the roadway or on the sidewalks. 7% run lights and 7% ride the wrong way. Now, you can walk out of here tonight, drive your car home, and you will see 90% of the people breaking the law. And we never hear about that. One morning in the fog, I rode to work. 43% of the cars that passed me did not have their headlights on. It was so foggy you couldn't see in front of your face. Weren't riding safe. So we get picked on. I don't mean to pick on you, but I just going to get ammunition next time somebody asks me that. I'm going to tell them that. But the impediment, that's what you asked, John. The impediment to this. I think it's a mindset. I don't think people are out to get us. I just don't think they all did. First of all, in our DOTs and our road commissions and so on, they have forever been brought up with the motor of the vehicle. It's the only thing that can be on the roadway. The Department of Highways. How dare these bicyclists want on the roadways? And so that's part of it's a mindset. I don't think motorists are out to get us. I think motorists are preoccupied with something else. Most times they don't even know we're there on the roadways. Think about it. They're ticked off the car down the road 2 miles back. They cut them off. They're doing something else. So I don't think there's this mass thing against us necessarily. So I think it's a mindset that we need to overcome. Especially in Michigan, we've had, 100 and some years of being a car state. So, I mean, we're getting there.
I think one of the impediments, and I'll put on my DOT Chief Operations hat for a second, is funding. When at the MDOT level, at the county level, at the city level, everyone's budget is stressed. And even when we want to do the right thing as far as encouraging cycling, putting the right facilities in the right place, we look at it and say, can we afford this? And it becomes, no, we're just going to do another overlay, we're not going to put these extra pavement markings down, we're not going to widen, we're not going to build this critical link in a trail situation. So funding is one of those things that if an agency is appropriately funded, then they can lift their eyebrows out of the mud and start looking a little forward and saying, here are the things that need to happen to encourage cycling, to make cycling a well-recognized part of the transportation system. And there are some old mindsets out there. I'll give you an example. We were, I'm going to forget the name of the community, up in Shiawassee County. We were reconstructing state trunk line through the area. It was striped at 4 lanes before, and we came out and said, we want to make this 3 lanes with bike lanes through your community. And we thought we were doing the right thing. politics changed in the community, and they came back and said, nope, MDOT, we want it to be 4 lanes. We had to pull out all the stops to convince them that going 3 lanes with the bike lanes was, number one, a safer cross-section. It accommodated all the users, but those type of attitudes still exist out there where folks said, nope, just give me my 4 lanes, forget about those bicyclists. So it's a mindset change that has to happen, and that's an education piece.
It'll be numbers. It's just been demonstrated that you have to get to a certain tipping point of the number of cyclists that are out there, and then all of a sudden attitudes can shift dramatically. I think that the system, as we've heard a lot, including this example, is built for motorists, and even the rules are built for motorists. So I wish that every state, including Michigan, would adopt the Idaho stop law. You know that, right?
No.
Where in Idaho, it's the only state right now that allows you, as a cyclist, to roll through a stop sign legally. You have to look both ways, but you don't have to stop, or you can put your foot down. But and then on a stop light, you have to come to a quick stop, but you can ride through the red light once you've ascertained that there's safe crossings. And in all the testimony from law enforcement and their DOT, they've had no problems. They've been doing this for, I think, about 10 years. We've even had it before the Montana legislature. Other states have tried it, like Oregon, but nobody's passed it yet. So I think that, creating rules that make more sense, you'd probably grab another 5 or 7% of those people that you're talking about, Rich, because they wouldn't probably blow through if they knew that it was legal and they want to preserve themselves. It'd probably work. And then the cultural thing is still there, always hanging over. It's the mindset, and then also in popular culture, a lot of times the bicyclist will be seen as this hapless yokel that, he doesn't have a car because he's a loser. And I remember the 40-year-old virgin. I'm not looking at you guys about that. That's what I'm saying. The movie. And so anyways, the guy had a bike, and he was portrayed as this loser. And so I still think there's a little bit of that, but as I'll show tomorrow in my presentation, it seems to be shifting also where bikes are all of a sudden becoming much better. Probably beginning when Seinfeld on a bike in his apartment, although I don't think he ever rode it. So, it's getting there.
This one, kind of as a follow-up to that, how do we change the attitude of motorists from understanding that bicycling is not just about recreation, it's also about transportation?
Well, I think the more that they see bicyclists out there, and the more we have such encouragement events like smart commute programs where people are encouraged to try it, you'll like it, and that there's more people in the workplace that are riding to work, and there's more facilities out there, so more bicyclists are being seen. And I like the bumper stickers that I've seen in the past that are like, see bicycles. I mean, it's a simple phrase, but I think that's what it's going to take, is just sheer numbers, getting them out there. And not just on the back roads either. I mean, I think, there are some philosophies that say, well, you don't have to put bike lanes on the main roads because, people can always use the back roads and get there, safer. And no, I don't believe that at all. I believe there should be some facilities on the main roads, especially where the destinations are, so that bicyclists can be seen and acknowledged as a regular user of the road.
I think from my experience over the years that commuter bicyclists are more responsible and get more acceptance from motorists than recreational bicyclists do. And I'll tell you what I mean. When I commute by my bike to work, which I do roughly 200 days a year, I'm part of traffic, part of somebody going to work. And the people around me in cars respect that because they're trying to get to work too. There's a give and take. We're all trying to get to someplace, and it flows very easily. Oftentimes I ride that same route on the weekend as a recreation rider, and the motorists out there are not trying to get to work, and their attitude is completely different. So I think it depends on the time you're riding, but I do firmly believe that when you're riding for transportation and riding to work, you're part of a flow. There's a give and take amongst commuters because they know they have to have that give and take, and I think there's more attention to it. I think usually recreational riders are riding in groups, and once we get in a group more than one,